So my daughter Liesel is about 14 years old, and she's at the age where I feel she should be involved in a pretty tight-knit group of youth at a church with a youth group, and talking with some friends about whether that's important or not. And I had this idea to interview or ask a couple questions of some youth group kids that were in my youth group when I was a youth group leader 15 years ago. They're now close to 30. They have children, they have families, they're married, they're single. They have 15 years to look back on that time, whether it was valuable or not. And here's what they said.
So, youth group for me was pretty awesome. Let's see. Something that I really valued was fellowship. It was, being able to get together with other people who generally thought the same as you regarding like their faith, and like we're generally asking the same sorts of questions. And we could like answer each other's questions, support each other, build each other up, be there for each other, and that was really important, especially during that time of adolescence where it's like you're navigating just all the growing up stuff that you've got going on, realizing, that the world is a pretty harsh place, and coming to terms with that, and being able to do that together was important. But also, being a part of a good youth group really depends on, it's really contingent upon having a good youth leader, which I did, fortunately. And I feel like a good youth leader will teach, of course, truth, and like not a watered down version, which is unfortunately what you find in a lot of youth groups. But and I've been to youth groups like that, but the one that I was a part of wasn't like that. It wasn't watered down at all. We discussed, truths, difficult truths, very hard truths to accept, but we had teachings that reflected truth, and that was very valuable to me, because even kids, especially kids like in a youth group that are adolescents, they're starting to see through the crap, like starting to see through the whole kiddie clubs on Sundays sort of thing. So for me it was really important just to be like, okay, well, yeah, this is really tough, but like it's real. And there's just no denying like truth when you hear it and when you accept it. So yeah, that was really important. And so like, I feel like a good youth group leader will like their teachings will include those truths, and they'll also sort of provoke those questions to like those harder questions to ask, but also guiding towards the truthful answer, while not spoon feeding it also. So that's like it really depends on the youth leader. I feel super fortunate every day that I think about youth group that I was a part of the one that I was in, because it really laid a lot of the groundwork down for my later Christian life. I'm still, some of the kids, for example, that I was talking with about those harder questions that I was wrestling with at the time in youth group are the same kids that I wrestle with similar feeling questions now. So that's really awesome. But also just like the teaching and just the truth that I learned in youth group, really, I always kind of felt like just like put me light years ahead of where I would have been, having not been to youth group, not wrestling with those questions in an environment that was conducive to wrestling with them. So yeah, I feel like it was important. You got to find the right youth group, and that can be tough, but yeah, I'm glad that I did, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. Oh, and I didn't even mention, it was just fun. Like, it was like those memories are some of the fondest memories that I look back on. And it was awesome because it was like fun with a good group of kids that like I could have been having quote unquote fun with like other kids doing way worse things. But I made like lasting, really important to me memories in a group that was healthy, safe, and just really good for me, and it was awesome. Yeah, so there's that too.
So youth group for me was a very positive experience. Growing up in a very small community, it gave me a chance to meet other peers in my community that were my age, close to my age. And unlike a friend group, a common sports team, that type of thing, everybody had pretty much the same belief system. And if somebody was struggling in that belief system, there were others around them to build them up. I also think that our youth group, in particular, was extremely inviting to all types of people. Anybody that would come in for the first time, we kind of welcomed them with open arms and invited them to other hangouts outside of the typical Wednesday night or Sunday morning. We all did things together. I think too, you're going through lots of different life changes at that time, middle school, high school, where you're kind of finding your personality and you're finding, the people that you want to surround yourself with, and you're establishing your values and your morals. And you have other people that are doing the same thing, and in a very vulnerable setting where they're holding you accountable. And, if one starts to slip or fall, the others, we were very quickly to bring them back up because, we may have gone through the same thing, and it wasn't something to be ashamed of. It was just that, we've all been there too, and everybody would lift you back up and bring you back in. So you had that accountability group as well. It also allows you to spend time with people that you maybe necessarily wouldn't typically spend time with. It just so happens that probably your parents or your family goes to that church, so you're just meeting there as well. So you're meeting other people that you maybe wouldn't have because you don't start somewhere with the same interests like you would with a sports or an activity team. You are there more than likely because somebody invited you, or your family goes to the church already. So it's very community based, and you just get to know people that you maybe necessarily wouldn't have.
I'm more than happy to share a few thoughts about youth group, because youth group definitely had a huge impact on my life as a teenager, and I think it's really important. I know for me, I think one of the reasons that it was so critical was because my closest friendships developed from youth group. When I think about, the friends from high school that were in my wedding, they were both friends from youth group. And the friends I still keep in touch with. And I think the reason that it's so important is because when you're a teenager, you are so impressionable, and you're still kind of figuring out who you are and deciding who you want to be and what you want to believe. And not only does youth group give you that information about, give you information to consider about what you want to believe, it also provides you with role models, and I think the most important thing it provides you with is like-minded people your age. And it makes me think of the verse, bad company corrupts good character. And I think when you're a teenager, still kind of figuring everything out, you're so impressionable, and it's so easy to kind of go with the flow and kind of adopt whatever your friends are doing or thinking. And so the more positive influences speaking truth into your life, the more likely you are to set out on a good path. And I also think of the quote, I'm probably not going to say this quote right, but you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And I think that just speaks to the fact that you become like the people you surround yourself with, whether or not you intend to. And obviously teenagers might not be thinking this way in terms of, who am I becoming? Who do I want to become? But their parents are. And now that I'm a parent myself, I can definitely say that I will want my son to be in a youth group when he grows a little bit older. And yeah, I think it's a really important experience. And I know that for me, I grew a ton through youth group. I think some of the key moments in my faith journey at that age happened on the trips we took, whether it was to like an outreach, like Reach Work camps, or going to like a retreat, or an experience that was more geared towards learning. I just think being around other like-minded teenagers and experiencing programming that's designed specifically for that age group is so valuable, and can really have a huge impact on what path a child's going to set down. So I am definitely a fan of youth group, and I think it can have huge positive benefits.
Hey, John. So, yeah, I think that my experience, I gleaned two things out of youth group. And one was that I made friendships that I still have today. And for me, that was everything. Because, like, as a kind of weird, blind kid, it was nice to go to a place where kids accepted me. And even if, like, I went back to my public school and I had my separate public school friends, I had my youth group friends that I really feel like had my back. So that was kind of cool. And the second thing is that I got opportunities to do really fun extracurricular activities that I might not have been able to do otherwise, just because I grew up in a big family and my parents couldn't afford it. Such as like going camping, going to the beach, going snow tubing, things I really like and made really great memories.
But anyhow, this is interesting, and I definitely think for me, growing up, that youth group was valuable. Provided, kind of that safe place and group of people that I knew was like, okay, these are my people. This is where I can definitely be myself, and not be afraid of what people are going to think about me. I mean, I think I probably still did that as a teenager, of course, even in youth group. But I think it was a little bit more of that kind of safe place where I could be myself. Still have that conversation. I remember having those kind of conversations in youth group. Like, all right, what do we believe about this? And if Scripture says this, how do we understand that today? I think those are definitely valuable conversations to have in a youth group kind of a context. If things aren't going well at school, then I know that, hey, I can come to youth group and meet with my friends there, and that'll be a time of refreshment and just being able to spend time with good friends. Another thought that I had was kind of, man, if we're going to have unchurched people, or somebody maybe a little bit on the outside who decides they want to check out the church, and maybe they've got a teenager or a kid, and oh man, maybe they really, that person enjoys the church and wants to keep coming, but that kid's like, oh man, there's no real place for me here. Like, yeah, I see some other kids around, but there's nothing organized for me. There's, we never really get together as a group. So I don't know. I don't want to keep coming to this place. This is just something that my parents dragged me to. I think having that youth group will make it valuable for other outsider youth who might happen to enter into your group, and for them to be able to say, "Oh wow, this is a group of cool kids. Like, I want to hang out with these people." Hopefully, I mean, I don't know. Maybe all the kids that go to your church are terrible. Hopefully not. But anyhow, yeah, I don't know. Those are some of my thoughts. I definitely feel that youth group was valuable for me in that kind of identity formation, knowing that I'm not the only person who's believing this weird Jesus stuff, that none of my school friends are into.
Youth group for me was a great thing, man. Like, I really don't know how to put it in the words, but without that, I don't know where I'd have been. I had a tough time in school. I kind of think a lot of that had to do with my upbringing. I'm sure you figured that much out. Was very sheltered, and I don't know how to let it out being a teenager without it. But being around a group of kids that were good kids, like our youth group was, it gave me something to look forward to during the week. It gave me something to keep me grounded and everything that we're taught. It's something that you can't replace. It's something that stuck with me to this day. You know what I mean? A lot of the things, you kind of showed me that there's a whole nother type of person out there than I'd ever been exposed to, and that's not a bad thing. You showed me how good people can really be and still be open. Kind of a whole different perspective on humanity, really. And I think that was your goal. Maybe not, I don't know. As far as a youth group, you cannot beat it. You can't beat it, especially for a kid that age that's that impressionable. That youth group made a world of difference for me. It's great to have a group of kids that are kind of like-minded, I guess, is what I'm going for. And keep you going down the straight and narrow. My point of view is, man, anybody that says different just don't know no better.